Good morning, everybody. 9 o'clock. What the hell that have to do with anything? 9 o'clock in the morning here on Tuesday on the 4th of January. Two quick things, that's all I want to talk about. I want to get some discussion going, and I hopefully want to get a bunch of feedback. And what I'd love to do is this is eventually, I don't know how we could have arranged it, but this our new tutor, and I'll call him that, our teacher, instructor, BELANGP, Belanp, I don't know, anyway. This gentleman does so much research, and good research, and backs it up with charts and everything else, and so informative that and he has a good following now, that I would love to somehow, if it would be possible, to arrange some open discussion, because when you try to discuss something back and forth by just typing in a comment, you really, the little nuances and things that you would like to discuss, you just don't have time, or me, I'm too klutzy with typing, and you all see mine. Sooner or later, I'm not looking, and I hit the damn cap key, and then I all of a sudden go into caps, and it looks stupid, and it is stupid. But anyway, his eagerness and so forth to send us, and so many other people's eagerness to push us toward a gold standard, I think is not only impractical but impossible. And sometime I'll have to discuss the reasons I believe that to be the case. Although I've tried to point out a few of them in comments, but this don't let that detract any from this. This guy knows how to do research. I don't know what he does for a living. Maybe that's what he does for a living. But anyway, he's a very smart, very articulate, and very much on top of the charts and everything that he presents. Now, the other thing which struck me as crazy, we'll talk about silver in a second, is this damn Keystone pipeline. Now, I would be willing to bet anybody, even money, this thing has gone through. And why? Well, there's one reason. We'll start with the reason why it has to go through, and this is because British Columbia has stated their government, I guess they operate like individual states do here, that they will not permit this pipeline to go across British Columbia, and the only other place it could have gone, if it didn't go down to Houston or down to Texas refineries, would be Vancouver in British Columbia. Now that route is absolutely been eliminated. So if this material is going to travel by pipe, it has to go through the United States. Now everybody says, "Oh yeah, well we're in such need of jobs and so forth." These people that make this pipeline, I have you know, are very specialized. They're not getting Joe Schmuck from down the road because he knows how to weld two pieces of metal together. These are very specialized people, and that's all they do. So if they're Americans, fine, they're working. If they're not working here, they're working someplace else. If they're non-Americans, they're going to bring them in for this pipeline. And the final count, once the pipeline is in, the amount of jobs that this will create is 800 jobs. 800 jobs. Now, one casino just closed here in New Jersey, and they laid off 3,000 people. So, one casino's worth of employees is almost 4 times the number of employees. That'd be one out of 4 of those employees, if they were qualified, would have a permanent job on this pipeline. The other thing is, the same people that made this pipeline and the same people that owned it are the ones that they had that big pipeline burst in Arkansas. Now, no one ever sees the news on it, but those poor people still don't have their neighborhoods clean. And why don't they? Because this is a very unique type of petroleum product. Even to transport it, they have to add other elements of petroleum, and they have to in some cases warm it up just to transport it because it's such a muck. It's so thick. Now, who gets the benefit? Here's our only hope. Who gets the benefit if the pipeline doesn't go through? Well, the railroads, because that's the only other way they can transport it. And the railroads got a big name on their side, Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett owns several of them, or owns their Berkshire Hathaway owns controlling interest in several rail lines, and they'd be the big windfall would go to them if this pipeline doesn't go through. But let's talk about taxes, and let's talk about what this petroleum is for, and let's also not forget that the largest environmental disaster in the world presently is where this tar sand is being mined in northern northern Alberta. Their sludge ponds are so big that you can see them from the space station. This area will never be the same. But everybody says, "Well, who gives a crap? It's only permafrost anyway. It's up there, way up near Fort McHenry." So we all should care because that's an area that can be decimated, and things that live there will never be the same. But let's worry about what's it going to do as far as saving the world and making petroleum cheaper. Well, this kind of petroleum is best used for diesels and best used for diesel cars as opposed for diesel trucks, and I don't understand the chemistry of that, but what will happen to it, it'll go, if the pipeline goes through, and it'll cross 20,000 creeks and rivers in this country. Now, I think everybody remembers those cities in Canada that the same people that made this pipeline, when they had a pipeline burst, that they had to have water brought in from them because the rivers were so polluted with this crap that it made it the normal place where they get their drinking water was unviable. So they had to have water trucked into them. So if we want to run the risk, 20,000. Now, what's the odds? If one in 500 has some kind of a leak or burst a year, that's still hundreds of cleanups. Now, this stuff isn't easily cleaned up because it's heavier than water. It sinks. And you really never get rid of it. Ask the people in Arkansas, and you still don't see anything in the news about it because this was a very upscale neighborhood, and I'm sure those people have been paid nicely to keep their mouth shut and to move on. But the more puzzling thing is that all of the environmental studies have been turned in, and of course they found that many of these people that did the environmental studies all had connections to oil companies. But let me go back a second. This oil will be refined and it'll be shipped to Europe, okay? Because that's where the diesel cars are. Now, because it's shipped to Europe and sold to European users, there will be no tax paid in this country. So this pipeline, which threatens millions of people's water supply, will they get out of it if there's a break? They get not a damn thing except they get some gunk in their water. What will the American taxpayer see from it? Not a damn thing, because these companies consider it a foreign sale and they pay no taxes on that. So the United States benefits nothing. Who benefits? The super rich that are involved with in the refining of this and in the exportation of this. It's such a boondoggle for so few, and such a headache it's going to be for so many. But yet it'll be approved because that's what big money wants. Now the question is, the craziness is that all these environmental studies went to the State Department, and it'll be up to John Kerry to make the final decision of whether he thinks the pipeline should go through or not, and then make his recommendation to President Obama. What in the Sam Hell is the State Department? Why are they involved in this? Why isn't the Interior Department making this decision? And why hasn't anybody done any research into who is making these decisions that it's environmentally safe? The same damn people that have been responsible for pipeline bursts and made the pipeline and operate these pipelines are going to put in another one, a bigger one, and one that is more technologically has to be more technologically safe than other pipelines because they have to mix other oils with this, otherwise it's not fluid enough to pump. So what happens? You get a big clog in the backup and a blowout. More likely with transporting this stuff than any other oil. All right, well, let's get off of Keystone. Keystone's going through. I don't know why anybody even talks about it, but that'll prove it. Now, it's only mainly because everybody's talking jobs, and 800 jobs ain't worth talking about. Now, the next thing is everybody's thinking this is going to be the year of gold and silver, and they're going to go skyrocket, and everybody's making their predictions that gold's going through the roof, and because the Chinese are buying a lot up, and the price is low, so people are buying, but the paper people are keeping it down. Well, I don't own that much gold, so it's only a side product for me as far as my retirement goes, and I think gold will go up, but I don't think it's skyrocketing. And silver, that the only thing that I can see that'll move silver is demand. Everybody's talking about the collapse of the dollar, and that all these preppers are not only are looking that it might happen, they're looking forward to it. They want it to happen, and even some of the people that we all watch and respect think that the dollar is going to collapse. Well, it's in nobody's interest to see the dollar collapse. The only thing that's going to be moving silver, besides a little bit of inflation, and the little bit of inflation we're talking about, if anybody does their own food shopping, you know it's more than a little. But if you take out fuel and you take out food, and then you have the core inflation, well, what's the hell's left? Everybody with this these cold snaps this winter, everybody knows what happened to their fuel bills, and I'm just happy I got natural gas, even though the natural gas is up a little now. It isn't up, that we paid years ago. We paid much more to heat this house than we do presently. But the only thing that's really going to move silver and keep silver moving is industrial usage. And now every computer, every cell phone, all these things use a little bit of silver, so that we're really only going to see a good move in silver when we see usage of silver, industrial use go up. All of us hoarders don't amount to much when it comes to the overall view. And the only way to keep the paper people that really do manipulate, I think the fair price for silver now would be about $31, but we're not talking anything about a fair price. We're talking about a manipulated price. And as long as J.P. Morgan and COMEX and these people find that there's a certain price that they like to buy and trade silver, that's what silver will buy and trade for, until industrial use becomes so high that the paper people, that no one will be interested in paper silver, because everybody will be out there looking for the real thing because they need it in industry. And this industrial use of silver will increase. Now it's going to be slowed down by the chaos in Africa and other places, but overall the usage will go up, and silver will go up, and the amount of mineable silver will begin to decrease, and that's when the price of silver will take off. But I don't see it making any great leaps and bounds. I would hope that it's 23 or 4 bucks by the end of the year. Uh, but there seems to be a bottom, in the high 18s that seems to bounce off of, and that might be simply because at anything lower, there wouldn't be hardly any mineable silver because it wouldn't pay anybody to extract it from the ground. So what we don't want the collapse of the dollar, and I don't think we'll see the collapse of the dollar. One reason I think is because we're going to start to become an exporter of energy, and a lot of these petrodollars that are floating out there, that China and other countries might decide to trade in their petrodollars and use the yuan, or Japan use the yen or something to make international trade. Those petrodollars might end up coming back to us in the form of purchase of liquefied natural gas. But anyway, you look at it, I do believe that the only true chance we have of seeing really good prices for silver. Well, everybody considers these are good prices because I'm still out there buying, and I hardly recommend others do, but I don't. And mainly if you're out of the market, like I just find the market too risky, even though I've lost a lot of value in silver and gold. I think that's value that I'll eventually, and not too far down the line, see a return on. But I would continue to buy anytime anybody comes up to me and I can get something near spot. I'm still buying it. I don't know why. I mean, I have what I think is enough in my portfolio of precious metals as far as the ratio goes, but I still have some cash and some assets I'd like to hide from the inheritance tax. So I'll probably still buy some more. But my closing argument is simply I'd like to have an open debate with people about the gold standard. I don't think it could ever work again, and I'd like to have an open discussion about silver. I think people are the type of people that we tend to watch, and we might even overwatch, and I might be one of them, are the people that are cheerleaders for silver. It's almost like watching this NS or MSNBC, whatever, Kudlow and Marie Bartiromo and all. You have to realize when you turn that on, these are cheerleaders for Wall Street. That's all they are. And I hope that we don't fall into that category where all we watch are people that agree with us.